You could be beautiful, smart, kind, loyal, and he still might not choose you. Sounds harsh, right? But here's the truth. No one wants to say out loud, men have options. Lots of them. With a single swipe, he has access to dozens, sometimes hundreds of other women. And in this world of endless choices, being a good woman is no longer enough. But don't get discouraged, because here's where it gets interesting. Most women try harder. They text first, they overgive, they prove their worth. But what if I told you that the moment you try to prove yourself, you've already lost your power? In this video, I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to show you one move, just one, that will shift his focus entirely onto you. A move so subtle, yet powerful, that it quietly tells his brain, she's not like the rest, and I might lose her. And that fear, the fear of losing you, that's what makes a man choose. This isn't about playing games or manipulating anyone. It's about stepping into your value, in a way most women never do, because no one ever taught them how. So if you're tired of being almost enough, if you're done watching him chase other women, while you're stuck wondering why not me, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you won't just understand what makes a man pick you, you'll understand what makes him never stop choosing you. Let's get started. You're thinking about him all day. The conversations flowed, the connection felt real, and the way he looked at you, it meant something. Maybe he even said it, I'm really into you. So why does it feel like he's slowly disappearing? At first, he was all in initiating texts, planning time together, making you feel seen, and then it starts. The texts become fewer. He's just busy, calls drop off, his energy changes, and you're left confused, replaying every moment, wondering what you did wrong. But here's the thing, you didn't do anything wrong. This is where most women start chasing clarity. They lean in, trying to fix it. They show more love, more attention, more effort, hoping he'll return to how it was in the beginning. But that's exactly when he pulls away even faster. Because here's what no one tells you. A man can like you, genuinely enjoy your company, be physically attracted to you, and still pull away. And it has nothing to do with you not being enough. Men pull away when the emotional stakes aren't high enough to keep them present. It's not the attention you give. It's the space you take up in his mind that keeps him engaged. When a man senses that he already has your full attention, your availability, your emotional energy, all without having truly earned it, something in him subconsciously relaxes. Not in a peaceful, committed way, but in a way that makes him think, this is safe. It's too easy. What else is out there? That's the shift. When he no longer feels he could lose you, he stops trying to win you. And that's exactly where your power is. Because once you understand how to hold your value without chasing, how to let your presence create emotional tension instead of pressure, he doesn't pull away, he leans in. Because deep down, every man wants to feel like he's choosing someone who doesn't need him, but wants him anyway. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how to make that shift, with one powerful move that most women never use. Stay with me. There's a moment, often unspoken, that changes everything in a connection between a man and a woman. It's not the moment you kiss, or even the moment he says he likes you. It's more subtle. It happens when the balance of emotional power quietly shifts, when he realizes, maybe for the first time, that he doesn't have you as figured out as he thought. See, what most women don't realize is that men don't fall for you just because of how much they like you. They fall for you when they realize they don't fully have you yet, when they can feel that your heart is not a guarantee, but something he has to earn. And that shift doesn't come from playing hard to get. It comes from a deeper place, a decision that says, I know who I am. I know what I bring. I'm not afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't honor that. That's the moment everything begins to turn. When you stop trying to win his attention, when your energy no longer screams, pick me, please choose me, but instead rests in, I'm observing you too. His emotional dynamic with you changes. He leans in, not because you pulled back to manipulate, but because your energy stopped chasing and started attracting. Men aren't wired to crave what's already theirs. They're drawn toward uncertainty with possibility. When he's unsure but intrigued, when he can sense your interest but not possess your heart completely, that's when he begins to value what he's afraid to lose. And the irony is, the more you choose yourself, the more he wants to choose you. Because real feminine power doesn't beg. It doesn't convince. It doesn't over-explain, over-give, or overstay in places where she feels unseen. It simply exists with such quiet strength that a man either rises to meet her or watches her walk away. It's not a performance. It's not pretending to be detached. It's you, knowing in your bones that your presence is rare, that your love is not something to be won through games, but offered to those who can truly see it. And when that energy shifts, when he feels that you are no longer chasing but standing still, fully rooted in your value, he begins to wonder, he thinks more, he feels more, and suddenly you're not one of many. You're the one he's afraid to lose. That's the secret shift most women never make, not because they can't, but because no one told them they could, until now. And up next, I'll show you why the idea of competition with other women is a complete illusion. Once you understand this, you'll never see dating the same way again. There's a moment in dating where you start to notice, not just him, but everyone around him. The women who comment on his posts, the ones he seems to glance at when you're out, the ex he's still friends with. You might not say it out loud, but inside there's this quiet voice asking, how do I stand out? How do I compete with all of this? And that question right there is where everything starts to go sideways. Because the second you start trying to stand out, you slip into the belief that you're one of many, that you need to prove, perform, or perfect something about yourself in order to be chosen. And it's a trap, because you were never meant to compete. That energy, it's exhausting, and it's not what makes a man choose you long term. You want to know what does: stillness, self-assurance, that quiet confidence that says, I'm not here to be better than anyone, I'm just here to be me. And whether you recognize the value in that is your decision, not my insecurity. The women who constantly try to one-up, outshine, or compare, they're chasing an illusion. Because a man might notice beauty, might flirt with excitement, but the woman he can't stop thinking about is the one who doesn't flinch in the presence of other options. She doesn't rush to text back faster. She doesn't dress up just to keep his interest. She doesn't spiral if he looks at someone else. She knows who she is, and more than that, she knows there is no other woman, because no one else is her. That's what magnetizes him. Not the chase, not the competition, but the absence of desperation. The way you carry yourself like you're already full, already complete. The way you let the world move around you while you remain centered. And here's where it gets even more powerful. When you stop trying to compete, you stop attracting situations that require it. You start drawing in people who see you clearly, because you're no longer filtering yourself through insecurity. You're not trying to be liked. You're living in alignment with what feels true. And that truth, it can't be copied. It can't be rivaled. It stands on its own. When you stop running someone else's race, you create your own lane, and suddenly no one else is even in it. So the next time you catch yourself comparing, pause, breathe. Remind yourself that no one can offer what you offer when you're fully rooted in your authenticity. Not louder, not prettier, not more confident, just real. And that kind of woman, she doesn't compete because she already knows she's the prize. There's a moment after every date that matters more than any part of the night itself. It's the moment he's alone, driving home, lying in bed, phone in hand, screen dark, and in that silence, his mind either replays the way you made him feel, or it starts to forget. Most women focus so much on making a date good, on being funny, sweet, interesting, attractive, that they forget what really lingers. It's not the jokes you told. It's not your outfit. It's not even whether the conversation was perfect. It's the feeling you left him with, the emotional imprint. And more often than not, that imprint comes from your words, but not the ones you think. It's the little sentence that slipped out with confidence, like, I'm not for everyone, and I'm okay with that. Or the way you casually said, I'm not afraid to start over if something doesn't feel aligned. It's those moments, unapologetic, grounded, effortless, where he hears something he doesn't usually hear, and it hits differently. Because most people speak to be liked. But when you speak from self-knowing, from emotional clarity, from calm certainty, it sticks. Not because you were trying to impress him, but because you weren't. Think about it. When a man's used to surface-level conversations, compliments or flirty banter, a woman who speaks truthfully, without agenda, becomes unforgettable. You say something simple, but powerful, and it echoes in him. A day later, a week later, maybe months, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. And those words, the ones that land deeply and make him sit with himself, that's where emotional connection starts to form. It's not about being poetic or polished. It's about presence. It's about letting him see who you are, not through a performance, but through the quiet confidence in your voice, when you say what you mean and mean what you say. The reason it sticks is because it's rare. Rare to meet someone who speaks without trying to control the outcome. Rare to feel that kind of steadiness. Rare to hear a woman say something that doesn't beg for a reaction, but simply lands. When you stop trying to be impressive and start speaking from a place of wholeness, everything changes. He'll remember the way you smiled. Yes, he might replay the way your hand brushed his, but the thing that haunts him in the best way is that one line, that unexpected truth you dropped, like it was no big deal, but for him, it was everything. And that's how you stay in his mind, long after the night ends, long after the words fade, long after he thinks he's moved on. Because some women are remembered, but the ones who speak from truth, they're never forgotten. There's a moment in every man's mind where something shifts. It's quiet, internal. He doesn't even fully understand it himself. But it sounds like this: if I lose her, I'll regret it. And once that thought enters, it becomes a thread he can't pull out of his mind. So the real question is, what makes that moment happen? It's not looks. It's not charm. It's not even compatibility on paper. It's emotional positioning, the way you hold yourself, not in front of him, but in your own life. Men don't feel urgency to commit until they sense they could actually lose something meaningful. And that feeling doesn't come from ultimatums or pressure. It doesn't come from texting him more or being the perfect woman. It comes when he realizes you're not waiting for his decision, not waiting for him to catch up, not holding your breath, hoping he figures it out. You're living, you're blooming in your own space. And he knows if he doesn't show up fully, someone else eventually will. That's where the fear kicks in. Not fear of abandonment, but fear of missed opportunity. Because when you radiate self-respect, it reflects back to him like a mirror. He starts seeing your value through how you treat yourself. And that subtle distance, not cold, not dramatic, but clear, makes him pay attention. He realizes you're not his by default, that you're a woman with options, standards, and enough self-trust to walk away from anything that doesn't feel aligned. It's the way you take time to respond, not out of strategy, but because your time is full. It's the way you don't overexploit your feelings, but also don't hide them. You speak honestly, then let go. You don't push or pull. You let him sit with it. And in that space, he starts to feel something unfamiliar, the absence of your pursuit. And it hits. He remembers your smile, your laugh, the calm you brought into the room. He remembers how safe and yet exciting it felt to be around you. And now in that quiet, he wonders, what if she's gone? That's when the desire to keep you intensifies. Not because you forced it, but because your presence is no longer something he assumes. It's when he realizes, maybe too late, that you're not like the rest, that your energy doesn't chase, it invites. And if he doesn't step into it now, he might never get another chance. That's what triggers the "I can't lose her" feeling. Not what you say, not what you give, but how powerfully you exist, with or without him. Because the woman who knows her worth doesn't try to make someone stay. She just becomes the kind of woman no one wants to let go of. There's always that one person who stays with you, even years later. Maybe the relationship didn't last. Maybe you moved on. Maybe it never even fully started, but you still remember them. Not because they tried harder than anyone else. Not because they were perfect, but because of how they made you feel. And that feeling didn't fade. It left a mark. That's the kind of impact you want to make. Not through effort, but through energy. Not through intensity, but through intention. And the move that creates it. It's simple, but most women don't do it. You stop needing anything from him. You don't pull away to test him. You don't give to earn something. You don't love with the hope of being loved back. You simply stand in your truth and let him feel what it's like to be around a woman who is whole. That's the move. Not a text, not a phrase, not a strategy. Just the decision to show up with zero attachment to whether he chooses you, because you've already chosen yourself. This is rare, it's disarming, and it's unforgettable. because most people interact from a place of wanting. They want attention, they want clarity, they want assurance. But the person who shows up with no agenda, no pressure, no fear of loss, that person shakes something inside you. They're different. When a man meets a woman who holds herself this way, it's not something he can explain. It's just a feeling, a pull, a sense that if he doesn't take this seriously, he'll look back and wonder what he let slip through his fingers. You become the one that redefines the standard, the one he measures others against, without even realizing it. Not because you tried to impress him, but because you were never performing for his approval in the first place. You gave him presence, honesty, softness without surrendering your self-respect. You didn't chase, but you didn't close off. You were simply real, in a way most people never allow themselves to be, and that presence stays with him. Because it's not just about attraction, it's about how safe and challenged he felt all at once. It's about the way your silence spoke louder than any argument, the way your boundaries taught him how to treat you without ever raising your voice. That's impact. The move isn't something you do to him, it's what you choose to embody, over and over, regardless of who's watching, and the ripple effect of that energy, that's what keeps echoing in his memory long after you're gone. Not because you needed him to remember you, but because he couldn't help it. Let's take everything we've talked about and bring it to life. Because when you see it in action, it clicks differently. It's one thing to understand confidence and emotional depth in theory. It's another to watch how it plays out in real moments that stick. So picture this. A woman goes on a first date. She's not overly dressed up, not underdressed either. She's not glued to her phone before he arrives, double checking her reflection every second. She's sitting there, calm, centered, maybe sipping tea. He walks in, she smiles, stands to greet him, but there's no rush, no